What type of human behavior will you never understand? People who need to watch what their neighbors do all the time. Find a better hobby. It's truly insane. There is a gang of retired women in my neighborhood who have literally nothing better to do than snoop around neighbors' lives, gossip and complain. I thought by the time you're in your 60s, you would chill out and be selective about the fucks you give. Not so. These women have an infinite amount of fucks to give about everyone and everything. The anger and indignity at being proven wrong, but never changing your opinion. This most often happens when one's identity is wrapped up in one's opinions. If someone identifies as someone who believes X, then any evidence that X might not be true is perceived as a personal attack and triggers an emotional response. Same with people who have studied a subject their entire academic career and then will do whatever it takes, including ignoring evidence that disproves their theory. Also, the old saying still rings true. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. Upton Sinclair. Lol, I had this happen this past weekend. I was laying down new sod and my neighbor didn't think I was putting it down correctly. Called the whore and had to have an hour talk about the correct way to lay sod. Unbelievable. People who make insane messes in public restrooms. Right, like let's shit on the wall. Let's shit in this trash can that is right next to the toilet. Last year, I had to go once I got to Walmart. It was shortly after they opened for the day, yet somehow a person sharted across the back of the seat, flushing lever and wall. In all 4 stalls? How? Why? I work in a corporate office and found a big pee puddle right next to a urinal. Then the sink area was a disaster. Next day I found out why. Seems like one of my co-workers has some mental issues, perhaps bad form of Tourette's or something. Saw them in the bathroom the next day, making a big mess. I have to assume it wasn't intentional. I worked as a janitor through college, and one of my favorite memories is of one of the leads screaming, "How does poop even get theirs? How does it get so high?" on what seemed like a daily basis. I think it's mentally ill people or young children. I can't make sense of it any other way. My brother worked with a guy who did this, and this was at a place where he was making probably over $100. So he had his shit enough to get a decent job, but he complained constantly about the company not being on his side or whatever. He had some grievances that were disinteresting to everybody else, but he was mad about it. And the way he expressed his frustration was by smearing his shit everywhere in the bathroom. He was eventually caught shit-handed and he was fired. How did they catch him? Like in the act, or what? I would pay a lot of money to see a video of that meeting with him. I was that person once as a kid. I had awful food poisoning. My grandma fed me meat that had been out on the counter all day. I got horribly sick and it was coming out both ends with explosive force every 10-15 minutes. She took me to the doctor, but the doctors in that town are complete garbage, and so I was told to go home with 0 treatment. On the way home, Grandma decides for some baffling reason that this is the perfect time to go to the grocery store. Not a quick trip to just grab a few things either. Yes, you heard that right. A full-on grocery store trip with a kid who is violently expelling her insides at minimum 4 times an hour. I puked on the way in, but she didn't think that was good reason to go home. I then puked inside the store, apparently still not reason to go home. Then I had a sudden and desperate food poisoning inspired need to go to the bathroom, ran for it, but I couldn't get to the toilet in time. Since I was a mess, Grandma needed to buy me new clothes. She then proceeded to leave me in the bathroom while she slowly finished shopping. I stripped off my dirty pajamas in the handicap stall. I then sat there on the toilet, liquid feces dripping down my legs and onto the floor, repeatedly painting the walls and floors with a vomit cannon while I waited. It was everywhere. Finally, Grandma came back, wiped me down with a pack of baby wipes, and got me into new pajamas. By that point, there wasn't really an inch left in that stall that wasn't covered in either vomit or feces. We then swiftly exited the store. She didn't even tell someone about the mess. I will forever feel awful for whoever had to clean that up. No offense, but your grandma was cruel and/or had issues. That's actually abusive, or at least neglect, to force you to stay there while you were so ill. I'm sorry this happened to you. Grandma was a little crazy. A lot, maybe. She had this weird thing about trips to the store, and they always took forever. I have no idea why she thought that could end in anything but disaster. People who get an animal and then intentionally neglect or abuse it. Like why? Years working in animal rescue, I've seen it all, and it's made me hate human. or unintentionally. If you want a pet, inform yourself, and be realistic about it. If you can't meet the animal's needs, including if you can't afford to meet their needs, don't get it. Dogs need walks. Hamsters are nocturnal. Birds, rabbits, and guinea pigs are not solitary. All animals could need vet treatment. And for heaven's sake, don't overfeed them and then make jokes about them being chonks or something else stupid like that. There is no evolutionary advantage to eating less than you can. It's up to the human to limit the food intake of your pets. As a subcategory of this, people who move and just leave their pets on the fucking street. Like whatever you. You have to know the poor thing will be helpless and aimless, and won't know why its family decided to abandon it. At the very least, you could rehome it. How the hell can people just throw away someone like that? Constantly buying puppies, especially from backyard breeders, and then dumping them at shelters because they refuse to properly train care for them, and then blaming the puppy for it. Sadly, I see this a lot. That's a good one. I'm with ya. Fuck those irresponsible breeders too. Dogs are not for profit. The inability or unwillingness to try to understand. People actively and fully aware hurting others and feeling absolutely no regret of any kind, just satisfaction and fulfillment in ruining others' lives. I was going to say casual cruelty, so I think we're on the same wavelength. I dated someone like this. It took me years to realize that the misery that I was in was actually thrilling and exciting to the person I was with. A truly evil, rotten person. I foresee him seriously injuring or killing someone someday. I see you've dated my ex. He doubled down on the cruelty when I was pregnant and suffering severe pain. I honestly believe it was even more thrilling and exciting for him to mess with someone at their lowest, because it made him feel very powerful from the easy wins of picking on someone too out of it to fight back. He took great enjoyment of telling even strangers, like waitstaff or cashiers at the store, details about my depression just to humiliate me. I had to hospitalize myself. He only surrounds himself with people who are an echo chamber of himself, who fiercely adore and enable him so that he is never wrong. He is extremely charming when meeting people, but most people see right through him, eventually, even if it takes a few months. Thanks for reading my bitter rant. People who think it's litter. I launch non-profit company that organize clean up events with volunteers, and it's so hard to see every time how people are disrespectful for others and for themselves if it was something difficult not to litter, but it's so easy, and there is no reason to do them. Even when I was a little shithead teenager with a very active disrespect for authority, I would never imagine just throwing my garbage on the ground. I've never littered. I've never had friends litter, and yet every event there's tons of people who just leave so much shit on the ground. Like it's the literal definition of trashy. It's the absolute bare minimum of respect you can show for yourself and the people around you, but it's still too much for some people. I just picked up an entire fast food bag that someone had thrown on the ground at the park. It's like they dumped it out, then threw the empty bag. What made it worse was the trash can was less than 3 away. Will never understand such shit behavior. This happens a lot in my neighborhood, and at first I thought I lived near a bunch of shitty humans, but turns out it was the crows lifting them out of the trash. Littering say a lot about a person emo. I was having a pretty good day last week, and while out on an errand for my boss, I was stopped behind some cars at a light. Motherfucker in front of me unloaded a pile of garbage out of his window. Day ruin. Instantly. Talking on speakerphone while in public. Even better when they're having an argument on speakerphone, or listening to shitty music in public on their phone speakers full blast. Like, I get it. I listen to music all the time, especially in public, but these days, there's literally no excuse for it. You can buy earbuds for like $5. They may be shitty quality, but it's better than annoying strangers in the street with your SoundCloud mumble rapper music blasting. I was having a pretty good day last week, and while out on an errand for my boss, I was stopped behind some cars at a light. Motherfucker in front of me unloaded a pile of garbage out of his window. Day ruined. Instantly. Scammers, especially against the elderly, or listening to shitty music in public on their phone speakers full blast. Like, I get it. I listen to music all the time, especially in public, but these days there's literally no excuse for it. You can buy earbuds for like $5. They may be shitty quality, but it's better than annoying strangers in the street with your SoundCloud mumble rapper music blasting. People who lie all the time to make themselves seem better or richer. My girlfriend's mom doesn't lie, but she cares so much about appearances, she has failed to help her children. Her youngest needs some serious help. He's getting into dangerous illegal activities, potentially gang-related, and it has been suggested that she sent him to a private boarding school or something so he doesn't get in trouble, but she doesn't want to beaks. It will make her look like she isn't a good mom. She also won't let my girlfriend park her car in her driveway for too long though. It's old and beat up. Dude, my girlfriend's mom is right up there with keeping up her and her family's appearance to the point where it would never hurt my feelings if I never had to see her again. The difference, though, is she technically lies by baiting and switching on favors. An example is that she told my girlfriend's daughter that if she facetimed her every day for 3 months and read to Grandma for 30 minutes, she would take her to this pretty, popular, yet expensive water park not too far from us. 90 straight days of reading to Grandma, and now Grandma can't get off of work. She doesn't have the money. She's fucking loaded Bebu. She's tried moving the goalposts on the reading requirement way too many times, and as of 2 weekends ago was trying to give the consolation prize of a day with Grandma instead. I literally hate this woman. She was the last to show for her granddaughter's dance recital and the first to leave without saying goodbye to the little girl. She has called the school pretending to be mum when she found out the granddaughter got in trouble, just to try to tell the school what they were going to do or else. She has repeatedly called and texted the daughter to tell her she doesn't have to listen to her mother because mom doesn't know what she's doing. And just the other day, the little girl was diagnosed with autism, and when told, she asked Mum, "What did you do in the last year to her to give her that?" She is an absolute cunt. She's not stupid by any means. She's actually quite educated and even is the director for a regional district for a state agency. She's just an absolute narcissist bully. And after this weekend, she knows she no longer gets contact with either my girlfriend or her daughter unless they decide to call her cruelty for the purpose of amusement entertainment. Being shitty to food service workers. Scumbags don't deserve to eat out. I second that emotion, but to add on, people being shitty to retail workers. Just because you can't read, don't get pissy with me because I wouldn't refund the difference on the bag of birdseed you bought 6 days before the sale started. I used to be a cashier at Walmart, and some of the people that came through the line were the shittiest, most awful human beings I've met. Rude, needy, entitled assholes that wanted to buy 2 carts full of shit and price match every single item. It'd take like 45 min for a single customer with a line of people behind. Actually, it was funny. The area I was in had a lot of gang activity, and those people were the absolute nicest ones, asking me how my day was, that I was doing great, and to keep up the good work, covered head to foot in gang tats, tattooed tears, gold chains, and all that. Paid for everything with wads or straight-up rolls of hundreds. I had guys buying groceries with their wife and kids and pull out like tank in cash, and they were always super nice, probably because they didn't want to cause an issue and have the cops called. It's also an interesting thing that gangs have an ethics code that they follow, which usually has something about public spaces. Complete devotion to someone that you have never met. Politics, sports, entertainment. I just don't get the obsession to any person. Celebrity worship, along with politician worship. Lie about being younger. You'll just look old for your age. Sending unsolicited dick pics to people, just why?
Why you think this will achieve?
There was a Reddit post a couple of months ago who responded to the pic sender asking, "Did you send me a picture of a young boy's penis?" The sender panicked and insisted that he had not sent a picture of a young boy's penis, to which she replied, "I'm reporting this." I saw one from the nice guy's sub where this girl simply responded with a magnifying glass emoji. Boy, did that hit a nerve. You know, I've had perfectly normal conversation with people thinking it was going well.
And bam!
Dick pic. Outside of the big stuff that's already been mentioned, what really drives me nuts is people who decide to stop in the middle of a walkway, meandering cattle behavior, or standing in doorways to talk. I mean, just get out of the way. Screeching and screaming, think Twitch streamers, as a brand of comedy. Didn't find it funny as a kid, don't find it funny now, still very unsure of what is funny about it. Child predators, pedophiles, especially the ones that claim they love the child. or parents who knowingly date child predators and give them access to their kids. Not wanting those who come after you to have an easier time than you did. I don't understand why you would want others to struggle the way you did. The inability to return the cart to the cart corral. Filming TikToks and things like that in public. Some of them are so embarrassing too, when you really think about them setting up the camera to record themselves. I saw one in person recently where a girl had her mum blocking up traffic to take pictures of her doing a bunch of poses in front of a cactus. Just fully awkward and an asshole move. Like a video I saw of a nurse recording herself being upset about a patient dying. Fully set up her camera and walked around the corner and back again to start crying and act out being devastated. I can't even take a selfie in public without making sure there's no one within a 100-mile radius. Lol, it feels so embarrassing. Cheating instead of just coming to terms with the other. Mean people suck. I don't understand how anyone could betray the one person who loves them most and then straight up lie about it. It's such a gut-wrenching feeling to be cheated on, and it can take years to get over the trauma. Just be an adult and break up before hurting someone like that. People who drive like 45th in the left lane. How do you not see the dozens upon dozens of cars behind you? Also, somehow, these people are always driving in sync with the people in the other two lanes, effectively creating an unpassable wall of cars. Get a clue, people. They are all in their own little worlds. No one else exists on the road. Same people who pull into your view space from the left when you're turning right at a stop sign. Cruelty to animals. Thank you, kind stranger, for the award. Let's all adopt an animal from a shelter. Racism. I don't see how it makes sense. Mistreating other people because they have a mental disorder. Edit. I wonder how many people who upvoted this are just virtue signaling. I know that at least some of you who upvoted are liars.